and I hear a knock. Guests aren't unfamiliar and curious to see who it is. I go to look through the peephole to see who it is, and there stood three officers from the Beijing police. Instantly, I got sick to my
Ooh.
stomach, spooked, like, ooh, shit, what were they doing here?
This is the Living Numbers podcast where everyone's interesting if you ask the right questions. Of course, I'm your host, Tony Rambles, and I have 4 appeals, 20 seconds, time me, ready, set, go. Number 1, share, rate, review, 5 stars. Number 2, subscribe on Apple and TikTok for the behind the scenes of the episodes. Number 3, follow on IG and TikTok at The Living Numbers Podcast. And number 4, merch link in the description, cop a hoodie or a t-shirt. And I'm done. Was that 20 seconds? I don't know. I hope you timed me. Okay. Of course, we have somebody on for the first time, and they have to get a wonderful introduction. So, hailing from Fulton County, Georgia, he earned his bachelor degree in communications and media studies, something I'm also very interested in, from Stetson University, where he was a standout defensive back that did a little bit of everything throughout his college football career. He's a 15-time Amazon #1 bestseller after authoring his first book based on his experience in a Beijing jail. We're going to talk about that for sure. And although he speaks on many podcasts, he believes you shouldn't take his or anyone's advice. You should trust yourself. Workout warrior, playoff coach, and all-star host, I present the Chancellor K. Jackson. Say hello to the people.
Hey, man, blessings and balance to you, Tony. Blessings and balance to everyone that's tuning in right now. Major shout out to the viewers. Y'all the real MVP, so shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all.
No doubt. When I saw the part about, football and the going overseas, I'm like, okay, yeah, we got some parallels here. We got some stories we're gonna have to swap. So our first number is, I took it back to your hometown. Our first number is 30080. That's the zip. And that's where Corley Publications was born. So, like, have you always been a writer? Like, is this always something that you've been into, like, even as a kid?
Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? Even going through grade school, I can't even. I remember us writing essays, especially for like the end of the year test. Like, you know what I'm saying, before you pass on to the next grade, you got math, English. You know what I'm saying? Writing was one of those subjects that you had to test on. So in that aspect, that's what I remember writing. In high school, I don't remember writing any essays at all. Now, when I got to college, it was a rude ass awakening just because of that. Now, these folks talking about, oh, we got an essay in this class, essay in this class. And I'm a communication major, so that's writing intensive. It was a rude awakening, for sure. For sure. But, hey, you got to be able to adjust. And I was able to, and you know what I mean? So, but I still never really did it outside of anything that was, you know what I'm saying, curriculum based.
Right,
So,
anything for school.
yeah, so for me to be writing books, that was, man, random, for real.
So, how did you adjust? Like, when you had that first paper that was like way longer than anything you had ever written, or when you get to college and you're like, oh, this is a different level. Like, what was your mindset going through that? And then, like, what were some of the steps that you took to be able to then write and figure it out? Because you got your degree, so you figured out how to write enough. So, how did you do that?
I was like, shit, my high school ain't preparing me at all. So I'm like, man, Stetson had a writing center in the library. So people that were excellent writers, they would hire them to help edit people's papers, you know what I'm saying, coach them through the whole whatever your essay is about,
Mm.
they had somebody there that can help you with it. So I spent a lot of time in that writing center. For sure. I spent a lot of time in there until I was able to. I'm a fast learner, so once I was able to develop my writing just a little bit to where, you know what I'm saying, the professors needed it to be at, it was smooth sailing still, but I still always go to them to write us and make sure it was still A1. So yeah, just yeah, the you know what I'm saying, unlearn and relearn some things for sure.
That unlearning piece, man, and I'm sure you can speak to this, like growing up, getting to college, getting out of your people house, and you go, dang, like that was wrong. Some stuff that they was teaching me was so backwards.
Yeah.
What is something that you had to unlearn?
Um, I once I started taking like sociology classes and anthropology classes and
Mm,
learning about society and the systems within the, you know what I'm saying, just how everything is orchestrated and how everything plays a role for it to be the way that it is. That's when I was like, okay, that made me start to question everything that we have learned up until this point in life. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about everything.
right.
It's like, okay, man, these folks done lied to us about the smallest. Imagine the grand things. You know what I'm saying? And the little things matter the most. So it's like, oh yeah, that's what it was like. Okay, I started to question everything. Then just got even more curious about just you
Right.
know what I'm saying, finding out true history. And so just looking into different artifacts, different documentaries. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to you know what I'm saying, get hip or learn as much as I can, or get exposed to
Mm,
different things as much as I can. That definitely helps mold me into who I am now. You know what I'm saying? And the spiritual practices that I perform now and just my whole go about towards everything as well. So, yeah.
what was one of those things that stands out the most to you? Just kind of looking back on all the stuff that you researched, that you figured out. What's something that stands out the most for you?
Um, that we are powerful. Us black people are very, very powerful and have been doing amazing things from the beginning of time, of Earth, you know what I'm saying, life itself. We've played major roles all throughout history, and you probably won't even learn a smidge of it. For real, for
Right,
real.
right.
You won't even learn a smidge of it. So it's just like, man, just expose yourself to that history, those facts, you know what I'm saying, come across that information, and you'll see, bro, this world would not be what it is if it wasn't for us here. You know what I'm saying? The Europeans wouldn't have been able to do what they did if it wasn't for us. You know what I'm saying? If we got them after dark ages and
Mm,
educated them, then with us doing that, though, boom, the Renaissance period then started blooming. And now from the Renaissance period, you see, oh, that's when history really started to, you know what I'm
right.
saying, take off, at least as far as what we learned in school. You know what I'm saying? So but it's like you wouldn't even know we had a major role to do with that. It was the Moors from Africa that went over into Europe that got all that shit cleaned up and straightened out before all that, you know what I'm saying, took place. And then we, you know what I'm saying, so it's like the African Moors then came over there and messed y'all, helped y'all, and now y'all blooming, y'all going crazy, and then y'all turn around and stab us in the back, and you know what I'm saying, all this, you know, so it's like
Mm,
the show. But it's like everything that took place for a reason, for sure. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't stop us. It hasn't stopped us yet. We continue to prevail. We continue to, you know what I'm saying, create and make names for ourselves. They done wiped away our
yeah,
identity entirely, but we done created a whole new one. They
right. The
created a whole
marathon
new one.
continues, right?
Come on, you know what I'm saying? You see, I got the shirt on, so it's like, yeah, real, real, man. We
So, like,
powerful.
how has that? Because you said we're powerful. How has that like propelled you into what you do now? Because I can shoot us to our next number, and we'll get
Yeah,
to the publishing and into the book. But when you said that we're powerful part, that reminded me of number 9, which is the number that you were your senior year at Stetson.
yeah,
And from there, you go into to another country,
yeah,
right? You go to Beijing and you take a job as an English teacher, which ironically, I also kind of had that same path where I graduated from college and then not even a year later, I was in China teaching English as well as an English teacher.
that's
So
right.
like what were those steps, right? You got to feel like you have to feel empowered to take a step like that and to go
Word.
somewhere where you don't know the language, you've never been there before? Take us through that process. Like, what questions did you have to ask yourself in order to like convince yourself like this was the right thing to do?
Word. I mean, once football came to an end, November 2017, just the last game of my career. Um, NFL was not in the picture. I knew that sophomore year, so I'm like, okay, it's time to hang up the cleats. What's next? What we finna do? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Who are you? You know what I'm saying? What do you like to do? What are you good at? What's your purpose? You know what I'm saying? Who do you aspire to be? What do you aspire to be? What do you want out of life? I couldn't answer any of these
right.
questions. I ain't know where to start. I
Mm,
knew I needed to start somewhere. And I was mainly applying for corporate positions, sales, marketing, management, that whole nine. Landing interviews, getting flown out, put up in hotels, cars rented out to me, the whole nine, the whole shebang. And I could not seem to land a position now. You know what I'm saying? I went through this process for 8 months. Just, you know what I'm saying, landing interviews, getting told no. And I kept getting hit with the same excuse. Oh, we're going to go with somebody with a little bit more experience, or you just lack too much experience. But it's like, you know that when I submitted my resume, before we even set up this whole interview,
exactly.
all this money that was spent on y'all budget, you know what I'm saying? Y'all knew that was the case. And now that I got in front of y'all face, I don't know what that shifted the paradigm, but whatever you say. You know what I'm saying? I ain't take it too personally. I've been in this position before when I was trying to find a college to go play at. You know what I'm saying? I got told no a million
Mm,
times. I'm pushing marketing myself before I finally got a yes.
right.
So we've been here before. You know what I'm saying? We already know what to do. You're gonna get told no many times. You stay down. Something gonna shake. So um,
Right.
after about 8 months, I was like, okay, we need to reapproach this job search thing. Clearly, corporate ain't working for us, family. We need to look into something else. So I
Yeah.
was like, what you good at doing, bro? You good at talking with people, working with people? That sounds like social work. So I just typed in social work on the search engine, on the job search. Search it as social work, and I ain't putting no location, nothing. I'm going through the filters. Uh, and I noticed a button I never noticed before, and it said international. Why not think to look
Okay.
outside the U.S. for opportunities? So let's see what's going on around the globe. I'm going through the jobs, teach English to children in China. That sound lit. That sound lit. What's the job description? I feel like I can do that for sure. What's the requirements? Native English speaker, bachelor degree, don't matter what it's in, clean background.
Yep.
Oh, damn. All right. How do I apply? Submit a resume. That ain't number two clicks of a button. Boom, boom. I go on
Boom,
about the rest of my
boom.
search. I ain't thinking nothing of it. A few days pass, hear back from the recruiter, set up an interview, do the interview. A few more days pass, she reaches back out, says she wants to move forward with me as a candidate. So that's how that played out. And I had three options. They said you could go to Beijing, Shanghai, or Bali, Indonesia. At that time, I didn't know nothing about no Indonesia, so I automatically X that one out. I'm good. I'm good on that. So I chose Shanghai initially, and the
Mm,
recruiter's like, okay, that's cool. If you go to Shanghai, you have to buy your own plane ticket. Now, if you choose Beijing, we'll pay we'll buy your plane ticket. I'm like, y'all should have said that from the
easy
jump.
choice.
Beijing it is. There's no yeah. So that's how I ended up in Beijing and entered China on October 10th, 2018.
Okay, so we got there because imagine if you had a wife that you was planning for too, because
Mm,
that was my experience. So yeah, man. And so I had my degree. She didn't have hers. So we
mm.
pretty much going on the basis of because I actually interviewed with the same company that you went over with. And this was in 2016.
World.
And so it didn't end up going with them. And so I was on like another website where they just have all overseas English jobs. So I'm like looking, emailing people back and forth. Because now at this point, I'm kind of like doing a job search on my own. It's not like an English, United States based company that's gonna send me over there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I gotta have faith that like it's gonna be good when I get there. And
Facts.
so it's all based on that person that I'm talking to and like, do I get a feel for them? I'm just like, the Lord was watching over us at that point, because it's really not a whole lot else it's not like I could fly
Yeah.
over there, see what's up,
You know
and then
me.
be like, all right, I'll be back in a month. No, I
No.
didn't have bread like that. So I end up talking to this guy who is from Seattle. went to school to learn Mandarin and Chinese culture and all this stuff. Cool white dude named Josh. He the man. Forever. He'll always be the man to me because of like when I talked to him, he really understood it from my perspective. An American coming over to what they was doing over there. So he was
Yeah.
like, all right, so like this is the stuff that you gotta watch out for. This is like the things that you want to try to do. This is how we're gonna help you, blah, blah, blah. So I felt like, okay, like
Yeah.
all right, I guess this the one. And
Yeah.
so we went there, like everything was good. So I want you to take this moment. I want you to take us back to this moment because I remember this vividly in my head too. Like your first time touching down and you looking around, like stuff is not real, not in English.
Yeah.
You know, you it's really hitting you. Like I'm in China. Like I don't even really understand how I even got here. So take us back to that moment.
Yeah, when we touched down, it was still daylight out. And
Hmm.
usually in America, I'm used to plane pulling up to the ramp and you know what I'm saying, or at least pulling up to the building of the airport. And you get on the ramp and now you actually in the where the gates and stuff are. Nah, this thing was like in
Mm.
the middle of the somewhere on the runway, so we had to walk off the plane and then walk over a few yards to get on the buses, the shuttles to take us to the airport. So that was different. But yeah, I'm walking off the plane. I'm recording. I'm documenting everything. Right? I'm out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the moment for real, for real. Like I'm excited, happy as hell, and you know what I'm saying, anxious. All you know what I'm saying. It was definitely dope. But then when it really kicked in, like you in China, I want to say, man, probably it was definitely within the first week we was there. Definitely a
Mm.
few days we had been there though. Um, and I was with one of one of the people I was in the recruiting class with. We all up in the hotel, me and her kicking it, and she had brought over some THC capsules from America. So she had pills that was, you know what I'm saying, a few was THC. So me and her popped with one each, and hers kicked in way faster than mine. So she was geeked up. She went back to the room, went to go sleep. I'm just in them. I'm in my hotel room playing NCAA 14, and then that thing
Yes,
kicked
sir.
in. I was like, whoa. So I put the game down, and now I'm just sitting there getting higher and higher and reflecting more. And that's when it really hit me. Like, I'm looking around the hotel room like, boy, what the what did
This
we
is
just
not
do?
America.
Bro, like you said, bro, we out here. I'm on Snapchat, looking at the little map on Snapchat. I'm talking about, I ain't got nobody on my Snapchat friends is on this side of the globe. Like, bro, I'm the only one over here. Like, damn, I'm far from the
Wow.
crib, bro. Like, if something go down, hey, it's a wrap. That's how I'm thinking. I'm like, but something to go down, boy, it's gonna be a minute, boy, for somebody to get to me. So, hey,
Yeah.
man, that's when it fully kicked in now, for sure. Definitely within a
So how
week.
long what was your experience like teaching at the school?
Lit. It was, man, my school was. I really had I lucked up for real, because a lot of my peers that I came in with, I'm talking about, as soon as we got done
Yep.
training, we got to our schools. I'm talking about they was thrown straight into the fire. I'm talking about they got 6, 7 classes. They teaching the older kid. I'm like, ooh, and they going through it because like, bro, we only trained for 2 weeks, and now like I'm completely in the fire. My school, but they spoon
Yep.
fed me. They really walked me and eased me into it. Like I was just
Mm.
monitoring, and then okay, now you gonna cover this part, this specific sector of the lesson. I see how you if you can handle that.
Hmm.
All right, now you did that well. Okay, we're gonna give you 2 sections of the lesson. See how you can do that. Okay, now let's give you half of the lesson. Okay, now you know what I'm saying? They definitely
Right.
walked me into it to the point where I had I'm now I've got my own classes. This has been over a month. You know what I'm saying? I'm just now getting actual classes. Definitely by month 6, yeah. They was finna give me, woo, they was finna hit me, boy. Like they was finna give me the boatload for real, for real. Because we had teachers leaving and stuff, so yeah, they was finna give it to me
Oh yeah.
then.
How old were the kids that you were teaching?
I was teaching kids as young as 3 years old, all the way up to 14, but I was mainly working with the elementary school age range. So like
Yeah.
kindergarten about third grade, yeah, for sure. That was my bread and
What
butter.
kind of school did you teach at? Cause I know you know there's like a
Yeah,
like different kinds of
yeah,
schools. Cause I was at a training center.
yeah.
So after they left, the public school, they came to me like
Facts.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Cause you know how they do over there. It was, bro. They had their kids like doing something like every hour
Every
on the
I'm
hour.
telling
Like you
you,
playing violin, you playing piano, you playing badminton, and you
sports.
learning English after
Come on,
school.
on
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So
So what kind of school did you teach at?
similar to yours, the training center. So it's pretty much when them kids
Mm,
not in school at their regular school, they with us. Like after school during the
yep.
weekdays and weekends. Oh man, they're my busiest days right there for sure. Saturday and Sundays is my busiest days. So,
Oh yeah.
so it was a
What
vibe
was it
though.
like walking around, like malls, like shopping centers?
That
Cause
was the funnest
like at the
part.
top of those shopping. Okay, yes, go.
That was the funnest part.
What's some memories that you have?
Explain, man, the Beijing Art Center. Art District,
Mm.
Art District of Beijing. That's because we was faded when we went to that. We was faded a couple times. We went to the Art District, and just to be high exploring Beijing. Bro, I'm talking about. Hey, boy, we was lit, boy. We was lit, like just exploring Beijing nightlife, and we was high. Vast majority of the time, we was doing a lot of this stuff. So it was times 10. You know what I'm saying? Going to the supermarkets, everything's an adventure. Everything's an adventure. The
Yeah.
most simplest
Yes.
things you can think of that you do in your everyday life, it is an adventure and a half in China. Just cause you said it ain't gonna be just as smooth or as easy going. You're gonna have to talk to somebody. It's gonna be some form. It's gonna be some part where you're gonna have to uh,
Figure
get
something
at
out.
you. You know what I'm saying? Do something. You gotta translate something. Look up something. Convert the price. You gotta do something. Like it ain't just up. Nah. You gotta do some type of work for sure. For sure. And then if you're not fluent in English, you know what I'm saying, you gotta be patient when you talk to folks and vice versa. So y'all can make sure everything is being communicated as accurately as possible. So yeah, definitely exploring Beijing, going to adventures, the pearl markets, the sweet, you know what I'm saying, silk markets, you know what I'm saying, the flea markets essentially. That was lit.
Yes.
Man, I went to the Great Wall.
They might have some
Yeah.
t-shirts and then they might have a pig hung upside down right here next to it.
On me. And really just meet
How was
going
it
to
like for you
colleges. I went to
learning
the
the
colleges,
language?
speaking with some of the college students. Man, it was lit. It was lit.
What about learning the language?
Yeah, I took it upon myself to start learning
Yeah.
some of the language before I went over while I was training to get my TEFL certificate. So I was like, shit, I'm going to start learning this
Hmm.
Mandarin too. And I learned through an app called Mango, and it's an app you got to pay for it. But if you got like a public library card, you know what I'm saying, you enter your library card number, you can access the app for free, and they got hundreds of languages on that mug. And I like it's a different learning style. They don't just start with, it's not traditional. Like, we're going to teach you the basics and now we're going to progress you. Like, nah, you start off learning
Mm-mm.
whole sentences. We're going to teach you this sentence and we're going to break this sentence down, what each word mean, da, 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 da. And that way, so it's like, okay, you learn the vocabulary, but you also learn how to phrase it at the same time. And you'll start off with intermediate words and then have like you be in the middle of the lesson. Now you learning some basic stuff. Like, okay, this is definitely, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
pretty dope app. You know what I'm saying, pretty dope app. I knew just enough to move and groove. Now, as far as having a full in depth conversation like we were having, it's quiet. Nah,
Not at all.
it's not happening.
Not at all. What about I'll say this before we get to, you know, you going to jail.
Yeah.
Uh what about, cuz I know over there I was hooping like so much. What about sports over there? Cuz I know you got into some sports. Maybe if it wasn't hooping, it was throwing the ball around. Like what about sports over there?
Yeah,
Staying
I
active.
say working out, lifting weights. That was probably the most. Yeah, that was my physical activity of choice. And then we didn't get our gym memberships till like about 2 3 months in, because we was trying to find a gym
Mm,
for the longest, and we definitely want to be traveling far just to go work out. So
right.
the first gym I went to was the gym that was at the top of the mall that was across the street from my apartment complex, and the same mall I worked at. They had a gym up there, and they was trying to charge, man, something crazy, but ridiculous amount. I'm like, man, this is more than what we paying to live. Like that, why are they even charging this much? just for a membership. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm
Because it's
probably gonna work
y'all.
it. Probably, but we ended up finding a gym that was like across the street, but a little bit more ducked off. You wouldn't even, if you walk clean past, wouldn't even know there's a gym in there. But we came across that one.
Mm,
I'm talking about unbeatable price. So we signed up for the membership right then and there, and so we had a gym to go to. So and that thing, gym had a pool in it and all that. We ain't getting the pool or nothing like that, but we
yeah.
just lifted the weights and you know what I'm saying. That was about it for sure.
Okay, so take us back to that day that kind of
Yeah,
started a lot of what your life is about now.
yeah,
You know, how'd it happen? How'd it
yeah.
happen?
So yeah, it's April 4th, 2019. So we creeping up on the 6 month mark. Me being in Beijing, and it's a day off for me. So I'm finna get ready to head to a team builder event that the company's throwing. We was gonna be customizing our own Chinese fans. I was gonna meet some friends and colleagues there, so it was gonna be a great time. But before I went, I was like, I'm pregame. So I'm in the apartment by myself, drinking some Chinese wine coolers and smoke some cannabis at my little pipe. I get done, get dressed, make sure I got everything before I walk out the door. Um, then I hear a knock. Guests aren't unfamiliar and curious to see who it is. I go to look through the peephole to see who it is, and there stood three officers from the Beijing police. Instantly, I got sick to my
Ooh.
stomach, spooked, like, ooh, shit, what were they doing here? You know what I'm saying? So I scrambled, put everything up, open the door. They walk in, and officer in front, he's questioning me about something. Well, he's speaking. I don't know what the hell he's saying. It's written on my face, clear as day that I don't know what he's saying. So he pulls out his phone, speaking to the translator app, shows me the translation. I read it. It says, "Are you on drugs?" Now, I'm from Atlanta, the city of finesse. You live by the finesse, you die by the finesse. So he asked me if I'm on drugs. Like, drugs? What this fool talking? What you talking about, bro? Like, nah, bro, you got me confused. Passport? Yeah, you might want to see my passport. You got me confused with somebody else. I'm gonna go grab the documentation to ease this, you know what I'm saying? This confusion that you got going on. I don't know what type of time you on. So I go grab my visa, visa, apartment contract, passport, everything. I go and grab everything, slap it on the table. Like, here you go, player. I don't know what type of time you on, but this is what you need to look at right here. This is who I am. So he sit
Yeah,
down.
I'm
He was
good.
he was looking over the documents. Other two officers, they just scoping the place out. You know what I'm saying? Just walking around, wandering eyes. They ain't really looking into nothing. Few minutes pass. Another officer enters the apartment. He has something in his hand. I can't really make heads or tails what it is, but I'm focused on like, bro, how am I gonna finesse the situation? How I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? I ain't really paying him too much mind. And he hands the item to the officer that's looking over my documents, and then the officer communicates to me that I need to pee into this cup. So it's a drug test right down the spot. And right then and there, I was like, oh yeah, it's over with.
Ooh.
It's over with. For those that are familiar, and if you aren't familiar, like, it don't matter where you are in Beijing, if you're a foreigner, or in China in general, if you're a foreigner, they will stop you randomly at any point in time and drug test you. They will do that. So
Mm.
just food for thought. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I do the drug test, failed the drug test, of course, and now it's about 8 officers in the department, and they ransacking the place. One officer in particular
Oh man.
speaks English fluently, so he's questioning me about failing the drug test. When's the last time I smoked? Who I get the weed from? If I had any more? Blase, blase, blah. Now, like I said earlier, you live by the finesse, you die by the finesse. So me and the officer, we just going back and forth. Mind you, I'm still high as a kite. The moment is big. I'm pissing down my leg. Yet I'm still trying to keep my composure. So it's the fog of war. So it's just a lot. But every question he poses to me, the first thing that comes to my mind, I'm just blurting out. I ain't really putting too much thought behind. And it got to a point within the interrogation where I was catching myself in my lie. So I knew for a fact he was
Mm.
catching me in the lie. But you live by the finesse, you die by the finesse. So once the officer realized I won't give him anything that he could work with, that's when he just like, all right, cut. You know what I'm saying? Straight is up. You caught red-handed. We know you got more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Come
like,
with
all
me.
right, for sure. I die by finesse this time. I live the finesse another day. It's all good. Now I gotta hold myself accountable. So fess up to it. They confiscate everything, throw the cuffs on me, escort me out the building, sit me down in the police van. Um, and 2 officers hop in the van with me, and we ride, get to one precinct. We're there for like 20, 30 minutes. Then we get back in the van. I have no clue where we're going. We end up at another precinct. This precinct is a little bigger. We're holding cells, so they throw me in the holding cell with about 8 other Chinese dudes. Come get me 20 minutes later to do my official interrogation. And this is dramatic within the book because they take me to the basement of the precinct, into this all white room. And in the center of this room is this all metal chair that looks like an electric chair. This, so they
Mm.
walk me up to the chair and they open it and they looking at me. And I'm looking back at them. I look at the chair, look back at them, look at the chair again, and look back at them. Like, yeah, like y'all really want me to sit down in this type of chair? And they looking at me like, yeah. So I
That's
sat
your
my
only
ass.
option, sir.
Yeah, I sat my ass down. You know what I mean? That thing like my chins, thighs, waist, chest, and arms all in one place. Only part of my body I can move is my head. So there's 2 officers walk in
Wow.
and we do the interrogation. But by this time, that was plenty of time to come up with a good story to finesse they ass with. So I gave them my fabricated story. Um, the one officer is asking all the questions, the other officer is transcribing the whole thing. They bring the transcription over for me to review afterwards. Everything is written in Mandarin, so I have no clue what this thing says. But they say to sign it. They say thumbprint it. I thumbprint it. And they release me from the chair. You know what I'm saying? We go upstairs, do the mugshot, handprint, and they throw me back in holding cell. And now I'm just sitting there reflecting on the entire day, from the apartment, what I could have did better, said better, to the
Mm.
interrogation, what I could have said better. Um, just coming up with just different scenarios and how the thing could have played out. But
Mm.
regardless, I was going me being in the cell, the holding cell right now this was gonna be my final outcome, just with me failing that drug test alone. So I was damned if I had weed on me or if I didn't. Either way, I was gonna be in the same predicament. So um,
Right.
now my high is finally starting to come down. So starting to fade, you know what I'm saying? Get sleepy now. So I'm fading in and out of consciousness. Every time I'm waking up, the sun is fading more and more into the still darkness. And they come and get me, walk me to the lobby of the precinct, they bring my basket of clothes, say, get dressed. Oh, bet. Well, you have to see, look, this is what happen when you work with these folks, you comply, energy good, you know what I'm saying? Things work out. So I'm like, I bet. I wait for the next set of orders.
Mm-hmm.
Had me follow them through a door behind the front desk of the lobby. Now we're in the hallway. Walking through the hallway, following the officer. Now we're in this room. I can only assume that this is some form of evidence room. Just 'cause I see evidence bags everywhere. No sense of organization, structure at all. It's just hoarded. But in the middle of the room is a table. The center of the table is everything that was confiscated from my apartment. So the officer sits
Mm.
down and he weighs the weed up right there in front of me. Now, this is an interesting phase within the book because as a reader, you're curious to know how much does he actually have on him? One. And then two, when have you ever heard or saw law enforcement weigh whatever they just confiscated from you right there in front of you? Like, hey, when have you ever seen that? I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I ain't never seen that before. And then
Mm.
three, I don't receive any information. As you can tell, I'm just learning. I'm following orders and I'm learning as I go. So I don't receive no type of information throughout this entire ordeal. I'm here to tell you I did 14 days. So with that being said, the only viable information I received were signs and messages from my ancestors, my higher powers, let me know how long I was going to be there and how my release would play out. And this was the very first sign they gave me, and the only live and action sign. The other signs occurred in my dreams. So he weighs up the cannabis and it totals out to be 1.4 grams. Now, for those that partake in cannabis, you know 1.4 grams isn't a lot. Even if you don't partake in cannabis, we're talking units of measurement. 1.4 grams of anything isn't a lot. So I ain't have much on me. But you look at that number, 1.4. Imagine I have a whiteboard
Mm.
behind me right now. And I draw 1.4 on this whiteboard. I take
Yeah.
an eraser and just to simply erase the point, the decimal. What number would you see?
14.
Hence the title of the book. Now, did I catch that initially? Absolutely not. Everything went clean over my head. But
Mm.
that was, you know what I'm saying? That was one of the very first signs I received. So they put it on everything on paper. I can't read a word today. They say sign it. I sign it. Thumbprint it. Thumbprint it. We get back in the van. I look at the radio, the clock on the radio. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. These folks arrested me at like 11 a.m. I'd have been in custody all day. I'm like, there's no way they're not
Mm.
taking me home by now. So we riding. About 40, 50 minutes pass. We arrive at a facility detailed with tall walls and barbed wire. And I was like, oh,
You know what that is.
yeah, we're
You
just
know what
getting
it is.
started. We're just getting started. So we go inside, do a quick physical. Then they take me to put on my official uniform, gave me a plastic bowl, a plastic spoon, took me upstairs to the second floor to a manor house. Mine was like 4 o'clock in the morning at this point, so folks asleep. We get to cell 209, and the CO opens the cell door. Instantly, my psyche is thrown by the setup of the cell. The setup of the cell ain't nothing but a big rectangle. I say 15 yards in length, 10 yards in width. You know what I'm saying? Uh, about 15 yards in probably height as well. But it ain't nothing but a big box, essentially. You take one good step into the cell, and that's where the beds begin. And the beds ain't nothing but wooden bunks, and they start from there and stretch all the way to the back of the cell. On top of the wooden bunks is a number of bodies sleeping. In the book, I describe it, it looks like a slumber party. Like back in the day when we was kids, we had sleepover with kinfolk or the
Yep.
football team or whatever, but everybody got to make
Yep.
room. So that's what it looked like with random grown men. Um, and across from the slumber party are two Chinese inmates standing up against the wall, wide awake, watching them sleep. So, of course, they awake, we make eye contact. So we just got this awkward moment of eye contact of just like trying to make sense of what's going on. So I take a step into the cell and do a head count. Okay, including me, it's 15 of us in the cell. I count the beds.
Ooh.
I was 9 of them in total. Well, that makes sense why it looks like a slumber party then. To the left is the bathroom. It's its own separate room, but all the walls are made of glass, so everybody in the cell can see inside. You got a regular sink, a squat toilet, so pretty much a hole in the ground that you got to squat over for those that don't know.
I
And
already know what's up.
like the shower ain't nothing but a water hose with a shower head duct taped to it, black mold coating the walls, gnats and insects and shit flying around. So it's not the most sanitary place to say the least. So I approached the slumber party, trying to find a spot to lie down. And one of the inmates that's taking watch, he wakes two people up to make room for me, and they do. And they had me set my bowl and my spoon in my cubby. I went in bed and I just lay down between these two Chinese men with my hands on my chest like this here. And I'm staring at the bright light on the ceiling. And that's when reality
Mm.
fully kicked in.
You
Like,
start
hey,
crying?
nah, it's just like, it was, I'm like, hey, boy, you in here. We don't know. You really in here like, this is it. This is real. We don't know how long we're finna be here. Nothing has been explained to us. Nobody even knows we're here. And
Mm.
you the only foreigner and more than likely the only English speaker in this mother right now. So it's not looking too good. You know what I'm saying? But hey, we gotta
No,
hold
not
ourselves
at all.
accountable. We can't place the blame on anybody but ourselves. So we gotta take this to the chin for sure. Now, moving forward, what needs to take place for us to get up out of here? You know what I'm saying? Well, people gotta realize you in there. All right. So you were supposed to meet colleagues and friends at that event today, but you didn't show up. Now, sure they called you, you didn't answer. Is that a red flag? No, not real. But now when you don't show up for your Saturday, your work, when you don't show up for work Saturday and Sunday, all hell is
Oh
breaking
yeah.
loose. Now they got to find somebody to cover all your classes last minute. And one of those colleagues I was gonna meet at that event, me and her worked at the same school, and she from Atlanta too. So they're
Mm.
really my partner. So I'm like, she
Mm.
gonna know something is wrong. Okay, he ain't show up to the event. Now he ain't showing up for work. And we call him, he ain't answering. Red flag. Something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? This isn't like
Yep.
him. Something is up. I'm like, all right, boom. That's one phase. I had a girlfriend at the time that still lived in America, but we talked regularly. I said, when I don't respond to two of her messages, all hell is breaking loose. So you know what I'm saying? I know I'm gonna have to at least sit through the weekend. It's Friday morning now. Hopefully, come Monday, the search for me will be getting in. So for now, just try to get some rest and you know what I'm saying? Just gonna take it one step at a time. Gave a quick prayer to the
Hey.
ancestors and you know what I'm saying, went to sleep. You know what I'm saying? But we locked up, like I said, locked up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 15 men in one cell, 9 wooden beds, 3 soups a day, and all I have is that one plastic bowl, and one plastic spoon for 14 days.
Dang. So like you didn't feel I know you had to feel weird like going to sleep. Like I know you had to be like, man, how long can I stay up? Like or was it like, hey, it is what it is. I'm going to sleep now. It's late.
Man, after that series of events that day, you know what I'm saying, from the arrest to all the way to process all that processing, I was burnt. I was tired. No cap. I was like, but I was tired. So It ain't take me long to fall asleep. No cap. I'm knocked out, boy. But it was like four. Like I said, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. Every morning we get up at 6:30. So I really only took a nap for real before it's time to get back up. So yeah,
What were the days like? So you fall asleep, you wake up that next day.
yeah.
What's
So
happening? What do
you
you
wake
see?
up. The COs they go around and do roll call account for each cell. So we do that. Then shortly afterwards, medicine comes by the nurse, so she should come drop off medication to whoever needed. After that, well, no, I'm tripping. Breakfast comes first, then counts, then the nurse, and then the trash people come by. You know what I'm saying, to collect whatever trash we got in the cell. And after that, you sitting there until 11. That's when we have lunch, and then noon we take our nap. That's which is an hour and a half. So we back up at 1:30. Dinner comes at 4, and then after that, yo, ass sitting there until it's time to go to bed at 10. That's it.
Dang.
Don't leave that cell.
What did they do? Like, so what was the other people doing? Because obviously they could speak the language, they could talk to each other,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, what were they doing? Was they playing cards? Did they have
Nah,
some
no, it wasn't.
dominoes or something? No, it
It
was
wasn't
just
none of that.
nothing.
Literally, bro, like plastic bowl, plastic spoon. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you might be talking. It's a TV in the cell that's above the cell door, so they might be watching that. If not, they just sitting there staring off into space. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
So did you ever try to talk to anybody?
Hey, I mean, them folks was trying to talk to me. The very next morning, them folks was trying to talk to me. But of course, that language barrier, I was curious. I wanted to tap in with them too, but it's like shit, we can't even talk to each other, bro. Like I'm talking about, we trying our best,
Dang,
but
that must have been the hardest part.
man, we can't talk to each other. I just like, man, there's no point, bro. Y'all, they can't. They still trying. I'm like, bro, it's quiet, bro. It's quiet, bro. Like y'all, it's dead, bro. I ain't even really in the headspace to be trying to talk to y'all right now. I'm still reflecting and trying to gather my thoughts of what the hell just done happened, and you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna just get through
Figure
this,
it
and
out.
what I'm gonna do once I get out of here. So, but it's like that for the first 3 days. So the first 3 days, nothing but a lot of reflection, straight reflection. You know what I'm saying? 72 hours to solely sit down and reflect. I don't think anybody has ever had that, been allotted that amount of time to just do that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got nothing to do but sit there and reflect for 72 hours. Hey, boy, you learn a lot about yourself within that time. You know what I'm saying? For sure. Um, but on the fourth day,
What
day
did you
4,
learn?
it's like we came out here to China to do this teaching. You can, you know what I'm saying? When like we wanted to be a teacher our entire lives. This is just an opportunity we got, you know what I'm saying, to, you know what I'm saying, propel us as far as, you know what I'm saying, taking the first step to finding a career. So it's like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do once I, you know what I'm saying, after this. 'Cause I'm like, this is over with. Like this is a wrap. So I'm like, I'm gonna be back in America. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Um, I'm like, I still can do the teaching thing because like I got experience now. Beforehand, jobs kept telling me I ain't have experience. I got experience now, and I ain't just got regular experience. My experience on the other side of the world. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I still probably be able to do the teaching thing, but like, I don't know if I still want to do that. Or, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to make sense of what can I do when I get out, who I need to tap in with. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I still don't know I still have no clue what it is I want to do, or you know what I'm saying, who I am
Mm.
truly. Um, So it's like just still just trying to figure all that out, map all that out. But it's still I knew it's still gonna be a process. You know what I'm saying? When I ain't have
Right.
it all figured out while I was in there. You know what I'm saying? I just just formulating ideas from brainstorming, and then once I got out, I was able to just you know what I'm saying, apply just the thoughts I had, and it was you know what I'm saying, a ripple effect after that. But
So
on
you
day
said
4,
day four. Day
yeah,
four, something happened.
chapter 4, I moved to a new cell. So I'm amongst other English speakers now. 3 other foreigners.
Mm.
So one foreigner is a Russian dude from Russia. He speaks Russian and Mandarin, so I can't talk to him. But you got a Chinese American from California, fluent in English and Mandarin, and the third foreigner was a Brazilian from Brazil. Of course, Portuguese, English, and Mandarin. So now I got 2 English speakers I can talk to, and it's
Yeah.
lit now because that's when the phrase "misery loves company" comes into play. It's like, okay, we all locked up together, but hey, we ain't alone. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
Now I'm just happy to talk to somebody finally, and now I can start connecting the dots as far as how the jail operates from a day to day basis, and just how this whole process works for us foreigners. And ironically enough, everybody else knows their information to the fullest detail. What their charges are, how
Mm.
many days they're supposed to serve, the whole nine. Me, on the other hand, nothing was explained to me. So that's the ironic part within it. Um, so it's like, man, just trying to connect dots and learn as much as I can from these new cats, these new characters that's introduced into the story. Not only can I speak to them, they fluent in Mandarin as well, so I can speak to everybody in the cell because I have translators now. So
Right.
you learn about all 15 cell, you know what I'm saying, all everybody in the cell now. So it's a little bit more harmonious, you know what I'm saying, just because we
We
just
all friends now.
yeah, we just powwowing for real, for real. Like all the questions folks had before, we can finally get answered, and so you know what I'm saying. We just in there powwowing, but still, I have no clue how long we'll be here until one day they just like finally call my name to come on.
So that like they just called your name and that was it. Like you got out.
Yeah, they like
So did anybody know? Like, okay, all right, now let's take us to the day when you getting out,
yeah.
because I know you got to be like, man, y'all ain't trying to come find me or what? Y'all didn't. What happened? So I know you had all those questions in your head.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
get
yeah,
out.
yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so like once I turned my phone on, I had to like just set it down for
Blowing
man.
up.
I had to set it down. I'm like, bro, I can't even use it because it's just going crazy. So I set it down. It took about like
Wow.
damn near 2 minutes for it to just chill out. So once all the notifications came in, now I'm just trying to respond to everybody that I can. And they in the process of this, they take me back downstairs, put me dressed in my regular clothes. Ironically, this is the shirt I got locked up in. So when you know what I'm saying, I opened my pants and I saw this marathon shirt. Hey, it put a big ass smile on my face. It took me back to Nipsey. Like
Yeah.
Nipsey was fresh out the county jail in 2008 when he started his marathon. So it was like, hey man, we
Mm.
fresh out the county with nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? So hey, the marathon, let this begin. I'm like, that's what, it was symbolic because that's when the marathon truly begun. For real for me.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so get dressed, sign some more documents I couldn't read. Now we get in the van. They take me straight to my apartment and pack up the rest of my stuff, and then straight to the airport where I'm deported from the country. Yeah.
So did you ever see any of your like colleagues or anybody? It was just,
Man,
or
no.
I guess you had a chance to just text them and that was kind
Yeah,
of it.
that was it. I had to say goodbye from the phone. Like, that's it. I can't tap in with nobody. Nah, I ain't. I was deported from the country within 6 hours of being released. Like, they got me up out of there.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's quick.
they got me up
They
out of there.
wasn't playing with you.
Nah. Nah.
Wow. So was it a relief for you to get on that airplane?
Oh,
Like what
yeah.
were the feelings that you had? Because like you sound like you was having a good time. Like
Yeah.
you was locked in before those 14 days happened. 14 days passed and now everything is pretty much over and you being like forced to leave. So
Yeah.
what were the feelings? Like was it bittersweet? Like
Yeah,
take
it
us
was
back to
bittersweet.
the feelings that you had.
It was
Yeah.
bittersweet for sure because when I say I'm gonna do something, I like to do it. I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm gonna do a year in China. That's how long my contract is. I'm gonna do that year. Now, what will take place after that year? I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. So the fact that I wasn't able to
Mm-hmm.
fulfill that goal, I was like, bro, I'm like, I ain't ready to leave. Like we just, man, we done
I
got
just got
settled
started.
in. Man, we got settled. We meeting new people. Hey, we lit too. Come on, it's like this was an experience of a lifetime. I didn't want to leave, but I was definitely happy to get up at that cell, and shit, I was ready to. I was cool with leaving everything behind at the same time. It was like after them 14
Right.
days, I'm like, man, I got a full experience in China. Good, bad, ugly, and beautiful. So it's like high ups, downs, highs, lows. I'm like, I'm good. I done got a full experience. It's time to close this chapter and move on to the next. But it's like, man, what does the next chapter entail? I'm starting over from
Yeah.
scratch,
So
pretty
before
much.
we go to the next chapter, like what advice would you give to somebody that wanted to do something like, teach overseas?
Do your research, thorough research before you go anywhere. Whenever you choose to go, make sure you're well knowledgeable of that land and
Mm.
its laws, culture, they just vibrations to go about everything. And choose a place you always been fond of. Just don't be choosing. Right. I mean, you can choose some random. I don't know how that might go for you. You go someplace you've always been fond of. I feel like it's going to be a little bit better. I was always fond of China, so when I saw the job list, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's caught my attention like that. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
like,
good.
you know what I'm saying? And if you know anybody, you know what I'm saying, that lives in a, you know what I'm saying, a different country, that's even icing on that's even better. That's icing on cake. They got a whole
Mm,
tour guide. They know who don't know the brain going down and move around that land better than that person. That native. You know what I'm saying?
right,
It's for
right.
sure. So yeah, that's my little advice right there.
So you get back to the States and you did get into teaching
Yeah.
somehow and coaching as well. So, like, how do you use your experience over there and everything this far? Because that China part was just like 6, 7 months, So, and all the stuff before, college and the writing and knowing you weren't prepared for school. Like, how did you take all of that experience and then transition into the next thing that you wanted to do? How did the marathon continue
Yeah.
right after you get back?
So I'm like, shit, I definitely want to. Well, I'm like, I got my feet wet in this teaching thing. You know what I'm saying? I got, you know what
Mm,
I'm saying? Oh, international experience doing it. So I was like, I can still do this for the time being. You know what I'm saying? So I was get
right.
some bread running. So I was doing VIP kids online, teaching English that way. You know what I'm saying? Through VIP kids, so doing the online teaching that way. It was cool. This is when virtual teaching was before. This was before virtual teaching was popular. So it's like I was like,
Right.
it's all right. I'm just my first time doing this thing was in the field for real. So to go from the field to now we just behind the screen, I'm like, yeah, I ain't really feeling it. And then it's like
Different.
it's different. You have to be. It's a lot of work. Your performance will be based on how big your clientele is. When it comes to VIP kids and stuff like that, versus you in the field. Now they got kids all over. Now they just need bodies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's different. So you got to
I,
really put in a lot more work with that. And so it was cool. I just ain't really like the virtual thing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna look into the county and see what, you know what I'm saying, they got, what positions they got going on over there. Um, so it wasn't hard for me to land any, especially I was subbing and long term subbing and stuff like that. Man, my
yep.
experience, I can get a job. It ain't hard. It ain't hard at all for sure. And then I just fell into coaching. One of my partners that lived across the street from me, he was playing
Hmm.
football at the high school I went to, and he was like, "Hey, bro, it was summertime. He's like, hey, you should come to the summer workouts tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Come watch us work out." I'm like, "For sure, I'll
Oh,
be up there."
yeah.
So I just went up there just to watch, and you know what I'm saying, they broke off to position groups. So I went down there with the DBs, and I'm just watching them and just, you know what I'm saying, just stepping in, just giving a few pointers here and there, and just step back. I ain't really trying to take control over nothing. I'm just, you know what I'm saying, but me doing that, the DB coach like, "Hey, bro, you trying to coach? Ooh, what's up? At this point, I ain't got
All
nothing
right.
going on. We can do that. You know what I'm saying? For sure. I ain't knocking down no opportunity. I need all the opportunities I can get. So that's how I fell into that.
Yeah.
Then when I was locked up in Beijing jail 6, I was like, I kept thinking about one of my partners that I grew up with, and we was, you know what I'm saying, always hung out before I went to China. So I was like, I know when I get back to the States and I link up with Cuz and I tell him about the story, we're gonna powwow, and I just feel like we're gonna be able to come up with something as far as what we can do with the experience. And
Yeah.
so I'm kicking it with him, and we just powwow. And he was like, "Hey, bro, you should write a book about, you know what I'm saying, your experience in China." That's a great idea. I don't even know where to start,
Yep.
but that's a great idea. He took it further, took my phone, went to my notes, left me a 5 layer outline. So you know what I'm saying, I started
Wow.
filling in the outline, and with me doing that, I caught a flow for how I wanted to tell the story. The only reason why he did that, because he was a published author before we graduated high school. So he already knew what to do. So I just started, you know what I'm saying, filling it in and caught a flow. So I moved it from my phone to the Google Docs so I could type it up on the laptop. So 4 months later, it
Right.
took me 4 months to write the story, then an additional 6 months just getting ready for publishing. And on April 4th, 2020, the anniversary date when everything popped off, I released the very first version of 14 Days of Beijing, and I was ranked the number one new bestseller in 3 different genres.
Man,
Yeah, talk about
talk
full
about the
circle.
marathon.
Yeah. Oh, me.
So you released this book, and when I was looking, right, because you got a couple other books that came after that,
Yeah,
and it had like this living lucky.
yeah,
So it looked like that became like this is one person's story through each of these books, right?
yeah. It's a trilogy.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. So I'm like, I like that. That's
yeah,
clever because you took this one idea, you took what happened in your story here, and then you go, well, dang, I got some other stories. Why not kind of build on this success of this book and try to make it like, here's the next thing that happened in Lucky's life. So where did that idea come from? Because I honestly thought that was brilliant. I'm like, man, that's
well,
dope. How did you figure that part out and then start to map it out?
that's funny as hell. It's like it's similar to the first time. Like you couldn't tell me I was going after 14 days. I was like, I'm good. I don't see myself having to write nothing else. Like I'm good. You couldn't tell me I
Right.
was going to write 14 days. So, but when 14 days was going crazy, the same partner that told me to write 14 days, he was like, "Hey, bro, you need to go ahead and write the romance side." I'm like, "Nah, I'm straight on all of that. I ain't even in the headspace to started, you know what I'm saying, do all of that. And then a lot of women that was reading 14 Days of Beijing, they kept asking me, it was like, okay, you talk about this girlfriend of yours all throughout 14 days, but you never actually get to
Yeah.
speak. And then come to the end of the book, you get out, you know what I'm saying, you get on the plane, and that's it. So what happened with you and her? How did that story play out? What's the tea on that? Da, 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 da. So the females wanted to know about it. My partner was telling me to write it. I'm still like, man, hell nah, I'm good. It wasn't until
That's not my lane.
Man, it wasn't until months, very many, many months later, I was just looking up the best-selling genres for books, and I saw romance at the top. When I saw that, it was just like if fans a bus about
It
it.
was
Hit my partner
time.
up. I said, "Hey, send me an outline." He sent me an outline. 2.5 weeks later, that story was written. You know what I'm saying?
Dang.
And then after that, it's just you know what I'm saying, perfecting it, editing it, and then coming up with how I wanted to convey the cover and book titles and book description and all of that. And it was still
Hmm.
spontaneous all the way to the very end because it was supposed to be just one long story, but we ended up breaking it up into two books. So like nothing was planned. I mean, we started off with a plan, a blueprint, an outline, but we definitely had to make many adjustments, freestyle here and there, for sure. So they ain't gonna say and portray this ultimate poise like I been had it all figured out. No, I battled every emotion. I battled every emotion. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? For sure.
So living lucky, the marathon continues for the living lucky story too. We don't
Man,
know what's happening next.
yeah, I don't know what's gonna be the next book in that series, but now we're just helping other people, you know what I'm saying, bring their stories to life.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people once I published 14 days and people saw that success, it was crazy the amount of people that reached out to me that I always had aspirations to be an author, but you know what I'm saying, don't know how to go about getting into the field. So
Mm.
um, now, you know what I'm saying, I provide a service coaching people through the process, writing process and publishing process. So if you have an idea or concept but don't know how to go about putting it on paper, I can assist with that. You've written the whole story but don't know how to go about publishing, I can assist with that. You know what I'm saying? Or both of them if need be.
Mm.
And I've had one client who's finished, saw it all the way through. He's the first one to do it, you know what I'm saying, first one to do it. And he released his book. He published his book through my publishing company on back in October of last year. And it's titled The Fatherless
Mm.
Child by Anthony McKinney. Great, great read. It was ranked the number one new bestseller in two different genres. And it's pretty much about his experience growing up in rural Mississippi back in the 90s and how he was molested
Ooh.
before the age of 10 by a child himself, essentially, and how that whole situation affected him at that young age back then in Mississippi. And of course, you know what I'm saying, what resulted in him being who he is today, being part of the LGBTQ plus community. It's a great, great read. Very, very intense. But it's a hell of a story, man. He's a great, great story writer. He's a storyteller too. You know what I'm saying? Wordplay crazy. It's a great read. So I encourage y'all to tap in with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm working with other folks, you know what I'm saying? And we on the back end of their projects. So it's really solely up upon them how fast this thing gets done. I'll be doing my part.
Right.
Um, so yeah, man, that's where we at with it now. Life coaching at risk teens. So I'm partnered with one of my former track coaches from high school who has a nonprofit. organization, and he partnered with another organization that works with teens that got arrested for drugs. So we
Mm,
use 14 days in
right
Beijing.
up your alley.
You know what I'm saying? We use 14 days in Beijing as part of our lessons, a source to pull our life skills from. That was dope too, working with them, and it was a story that they all could relate to. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So that was lit. Also got a car rental service right now. I rent cars out on Turo. So um,
yeah.
yeah, man, I just run a couple marathons trying to get established. That's it, man.
How has that been working? Because I did the same thing. I had a couple cars on Turo before,
Yeah,
and I got out right before like 2020 because we just ain't want to deal with the hassle. You already know it can be a headache with
yeah.
that stuff. Okay, so before we go to our three whats, I want to ask you about Turo because I got a friend who has like Carlos probably got about between 50 and 20 cars on there. 15 and 20 cars. Yes. And I'm talking like high end Porsche, G
Ooh,
Wagon, Range. I mean, he talking. So honestly, that would be a good link for us to talk about later
for
because
sure.
he knows how to flesh that thing all the way out. And he's
Yeah.
gotten other people doing it. But that's how has your experience been with Turo and running that business?
It's been smooth overall. You definitely gonna have, you know what I'm saying, ups and downs, just like any type
Mm,
of business. It ain't just gonna be
right.
strictly peaches and cream, you know what I'm saying, all the way through. But all in all, it's been very, very lucrative. The more cars you have, the more money you're gonna see for sure. So that was
Yeah.
my biggest thing. I only had two cars, you know what I'm saying? One fully paid off, the other one I just got just to, you know what I'm saying, run the Turo jug with. And I've never spent a dime for any of my cars. I always leverage my credit. So, you know what I'm saying? It's always OPM. You know what I'm saying? I'm just spending other people's money. I ain't never using my own. It's been smooth.
Right.
Definitely. Want to continue to grow the fleet. I got three cars now. So, continue to grow the fleet. But really want to get into the Airbnbs. That's where the real bread is at. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, folks will Uber and Lyft before anything. Folks need a place over their head when they're traveling. So the Airbnb is yeah, that's the money maker for real.
That's the next move.
Man, yeah.
All right. Our next move is the three whats. I ask these three things to everybody who I have on. So our first what is if you weren't, an author and doing the Turo, the stuff that you do now, if you weren't doing those things, like what would you be doing?
Man, probably ain't no telling. Ain't no telling. I'll find my lane. I'm gonna find my lane, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Oh, really? Nah, I'll probably be back overseas. For real, I've been itching to
Mm,
go back overseas ever since I came back. But it's like shit, I got a lot of motion going on now, so I just can't up and just leave all this behind. So yeah, I'll probably be back
right,
overseas for
right.
real. No cap.
Okay. Last what, and you probably do this every day. What advice would you give to someone that's in high school?
Yeah, it's a message from Nipsey Hussle. For those that don't know who Nipsey Hussle was a mogul, philosopher, philanthropist, serial entrepreneur, well known for his music and clothing line from South Central LA, a rolling 60s crib. And his message is long winded, running through this life like it was mine. Never settling, but setting every goal high. 1,000 burpees on the path to my own self destruction or success. But what is a mistake without the lesson? You see, the best teacher in life is your own experience. And none of us know who we are until we fail. They say every person is defined by their reaction to any given situation. So, who would you want to define you? Someone else or yourself? Whatever you choose to do, homie, give your heart to it. Stay strong.
Man, you got that memorized.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, that's a good place to leave it. Chancellor, this is the point where you plug it all. Plug the book, plug your websites, the whole shebang.
World. Yeah, so the best search engine we got, Google. Google Chancellor K. Jackson. Everything you need will pop up from social media accounts, my website, chancellorkjackson.com. My books, you'll see that available on Amazon as well as my website. I also have the audio book for my non-readers. It's out there, so you can listen to 14 Days in Beijing on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Anchor, and Apple Podcasts. And I'm narrating it, so it's a vibe. Get your popcorn ready for that. Any aspiring authors out there, tap in with your boy. Visit chancellorkjackson.com. Sign up for a free consultation. And we can tap in, you know what I'm saying, see if we'd be a good fit for each other and bring that story to life. But yeah, man, yeah, y'all just Google me. You'll be able to find me for sure.
Well, Chancellor from Bay Publishing, thank you for coming on, man. Hey, I appreciate the conversation. It was a lot of fun. The marathon will continue even past this
Likewise,
hour and 14 minutes.
on me.
So it's good. Of course, everybody make sure you guys follow me on the Living Numbers Podcast, TikTok, IG, and make sure you subscribe for all the behind the scenes stuff. And yeah, I will see you all in the next round. Boom.
Yes, sir.
Voila.
Yes, sir.